Beneath the scorching sun of the Mioceno's dying years, the vast grasslands stretched in golden silence until the silence was shattered by shadows that did not belong to clouds. Wings the size of sails sliced across the sky, blotting out the light, and the tribe below stiffened in fear. These were not ordinary birds. They were colossal vultures, predators as much as scavengers. Their hooked beaks glinting like stone blades, their eyes fixed on the frail figures of early humans who dared to walk the open plain. Imagine a world where the sky itself hunted you, where every foray beyond the safety of trees and caves meant gambling with death from above. How would our ancestors have endured such terror? Would they adapt, resist, or perish beneath wings of bone and shadow? On the savanna below, a group of Australopithecus moved swiftly, their lean forms weaving between patches of tall grass. They carried nothing more than stone flakes clutched tight and bundles of roots wrapped in leaves scavenged during the morning forage. They were not hunters today, but gatherers, their survival dependent on reaching the water hole before thirst or predators claimed them. Yet their eyes flicked constantly upward, every sudden shape in the sky, sending waves of tension through the band. The memory of a youth taken 2 days earlier lifted screaming into the clouds still burned in their minds. The vultures circled lazily at first, testing, waiting. They were unlike any creature the earth would later know, taller than a man, when grounded wings stretching nearly 6 meters tip to tip with talons capable of puncturing bone. These were apex aerial predators descended from lineages that had once only scavenged, but in this altered timeline had grown bold and ruthless. They hunted in coordinated silence, one shadow diving low to scatter the prey, another striking with precision when panic broke the group apart. The Australopithecus moved as one, elders ushering the young to the center, males carrying stones ready to hurl if the vultures dared descend. They had learned through bitter trial that unity was their only shield. But as the band neared the open stretch of grassland leading to the river, the trap closed. 3 vultures broke from the high circle, their massive wings whispering through the air. One dove with frightening speed, talons extended. Stones flew upward from human hands, but the vulture twisted midair, dodging with unnatural grace. It soared upward again, waiting for weakness to show. The tribe pressed onward, but the open ground was a curse. No trees to climb, no rocks to wedge against. Panic rippled. One young male broke from the group, sprinting toward the river with reckless instinct. The vultures noticed instantly. A great black wing folded, then another, as 2 predators plunged after him. Dust erupted as he stumbled and rolled, their talons scraping so close that tufts of hair were ripped from his head. The band screamed in shrill alarm calls, stamping the ground, waving branches, throwing every stone they had left to break the predator's focus. The vultures withdrew with frustrated cries, circling higher, patient as death itself. The young male limped back, bleeding from shallow gouges, but alive. Relief surged through the tribe, yet they knew the threat was not gone. Ahead lay water, vital and irresistible, but also the vultures' hunting ground. Already carcasses of antelope and smaller primates lay torn along the bank, a grim reminder of the risk. The choice was brutal: endure thirst in the safety of cover, or face the sky's executioners for the chance to drink. Survival demanded decision. With dusk approaching and their bodies weakened, the elders signaled forward. Better to risk now than collapse later. The band moved as one, crouched and alert, using tall grasses as scant cover as they neared the glimmering surface of the river. The vultures responded instantly, reshaping their circle dark halos against the crimson light of the sinking sun. The tribe braced gripping stones, ready to fight for every drop of water. But the vultures would not wait long. This was their domain, and under these endless skies, even survival itself came at the edge of wings. The band crouched at the river's edge, their reflections trembling on the rippling surface. Every movement was hesitant, every sip stolen in glances toward the sky. The vultures wheeled tighter above them, their silhouettes swelling and shrinking with the shifting light. One female knelt low, cupping water in a curled leaf, passing it quickly to the youngest, clinging at her side. The tribe drank in desperate gulps, knowing that each second risked attack. The air was thick with the stench of carrion of half-eaten bodies dragged to the shallows, a warning etched into the mud itself. Yet thirst demanded courage. Suddenly, a scream-like cry split the air. A vulture folded its wings and plummeted a streak of darkness against the sunset. The band scattered in instinctive waves, some diving into the shallows, others pressing their backs to each other with stones raised. The predator struck the ground in a shower of dust, talons gouging deep furrows as it snapped its hooked beak inches from an elder's arm. A stone smashed against its wing, not enough to break, but enough to stun. The tribe seized the moment, shrieking, stamping, thrusting branches forward. The vulture hopped back, furious wings beating like thunder, before it lurched into the air again. But the danger was far from over. From the far bank, two more vultures descended low, herding the band toward open sand, where cover was impossible. The Australopithecus were caught between water and sky, forced into a circle of frantic defense. Their unity wavered as a juvenile bolted alone into the reeds. The vultures sensed it instantly, one banking hard to intercept. The tribe shrieked louder, desperate to distract, hurling stones in arcs that clattered harmlessly against armored feathers. The youth stumbled, talons raking across its shoulder blood, staining the reeds. For a heartbeat, it seemed the creature would be lifted screaming into the air. But the band surged forward in a wave of rage. Even the smallest hurled rocks with all their strength striking the predator's skull. One stone connected with a crack, and the vulture recoiled, staggering back into the shallows with a hiss. The youth collapsed, trembling but alive. The tribe dragged the injured one into their circle, pressing leaves to the wound, smearing clay as a crude balm. The air reeked of fear, yet also of defiance. The vultures rose again, circling, assessing. They were predators of patience, but the tribe had shown something new: resistance, unity, sharper than talons. For a time, the monsters waited, their eyes glittering coldly, as if weighing whether this prey was worth the risk. Then, slowly, they pulled back, drifting higher into the blood-red horizon. The band collapsed into the reeds, panting, drenched in sweat and water. Relief was fragile. They knew the vultures would return at dawn. Yet in that moment of reprieve, they clutched each other, passing roots and leaves tending the wounded. Around them, the savanna pulsed with twilight, the sky darkening from predator's realm to a canopy of stars. The fight for survival had bought them one more night, and beneath that vast, unyielding sky, they prepared for whatever wings of shadow would bring next. Night cloaked the savanna, but even in darkness the threat lingered. The vultures did not vanish. They perched on distant outcrops, their outlines stark against the starlight, waiting for dawn to cast their kingdom of air once more. The tribe huddled in silence, forming a living barricade around the wounded youth. One elder ground bitter herbs between stones, smearing the paste onto the torn flesh. The pain made the young one tremble, but his survival became a spark that bound the group closer. In their eyes shone something beyond fear, resolve. At first light, the band stirred, restless but determined. They had water, they had food clutched in their leaf bundles, and they had each other. When the first shadow crossed overhead instead of scattering, they stood firm. Stones in hand, branches raised, they lifted their faces to the sky, as if to declare, "We are not prey." The vultures circled, screamed their bone-rattling cries, but did not dive. Something had shifted. These small, fragile primates had met the storm of wings with defiance, and for once, the hunters chose not to risk their strength. As the sun climbed, the tribe began their slow march back to the safety of trees. The wounded youth limped, but walked supported on both sides. A ripple of relief passed through the group, and in that rare moment of calm, one elder let out a sharp bark of laughter. It spread awkwardly, then warmly, until the band carried not only fear, but also the fragile joy of survival.